thank you. I forgot.
Good afternoon, or good early evening. My name is Gary Bailey. I'm the acting chairman of the Grosse Ile Zoning Board of Appeals. We'll start our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, face the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Get into that after the meeting, please. Okay, I have an addition. Pleases the board. I've attended a number of conferences, symposiums, meetings, and presented at same, both in the military and without. And we always start with what I'll call housekeeping or health and safety notes. So I want to add that from now on, if it's all right with the board.
So moved.
Support. Thank you. Okay, the first thing is COVID. The township has indicated if you come into this building and you are fully vaccinated, you do not have to wear a face mask. However, if you're not fully vaccinated, you are requested to wear a face mask. If you are not fully vaccinated and do not want to wear a face mask, please leave. Second, in case of an emergency, we have two exits. We have one here and one behind you. Do not take the elevator, take the stairway down to the first floor. Part 3, drinking fountain and bathrooms down the hall to the left in case anybody has that kind of urgency. And with that, did we get meeting minutes? No. So we will not approve those at this time since we don't have any. That being said, we'll start our regular meeting with appeal number 21008. Aaron Galindo, an appeal on Macomb Street. We'll start in our usual fashion and have our Mr. Borden give a presentation, and then we'll ask the applicant or her representative to step forward. Brian, the floor is yours.
Beautiful. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Board members, thank you for being here tonight. We do have one case in front of you. This is a dimensional variance for front yard setback encroachment at 8756 Macomb Street. So this is the site on the screen. This is a multi-tenant commercial center in the Macomb Street district. And some of you may recall a couple of years ago, we're talking about this building here and this tenant occupancy. Unfortunately, this aerial didn't show it, but the ice cream shop that was the last tenant of this building got approval and constructed a concrete patio out in the front yard. The petition before you tonight is pretty straightforward. It's really to construct an awning structure that would cover that patio. By doing so, they are encroaching into the 25-foot front yard setback requirement, and that's why we're here this evening. So that will be what is up for ZBA deliberation. Pardon me. I do have the plan and an elevation view. So again, we've got the building, we've got the existing patio, we have a proposed awning atop that existing patio. They are noting 1 foot 11 inch between the edge of the awning and the sidewalk. I ballparked that to be about a 1 foot setback because historically along most of Macomb Street and most of the other locations we have public sidewalks, the sidewalk was built 1 foot outside of the property lines. So I ballparked it. You can see what it is. We have a plan dimensioning it, but I wanted to put that approximation in there. So there's about a foot of private property in there as well as almost a foot of public property, if that makes sense. So from the edge to the sidewalk, there's a small window in there. I'll go back to this drawing if we need any more. And then this is so we've got a side view, we've got an attachment view, and then we've got an overhead view. So it's been identified as or described in the materials as an awning. It is at a minimum, it's a metal framed structure, is how I viewed it. I was not clear to me if this would be covered in like metal siding or if this would be fabric. My guess is fabric, but I don't know that, so that'd be a question we would look for the petitioner to answer, just so that we know exactly what we're dealing with in terms of the ultimate view of what this structure will look like. Brief summary of the ordinance provisions. Again, pretty straightforward tonight. We're dealing with one variance. So section 7.4 requires 25-foot front yard setback in the Macomb Street district. As I mentioned, I've ballparked this to be approximately a 1-foot setback provided. So in essence, we're looking at a variance of 24 feet to encroach into that required yard. That's the variance before you. Left side of the screen, as always, these are your variance criteria in terms of your consideration tonight. So the 14 standards of the ordinance are what you have to apply to bring this case to a conclusion in terms of favorable findings. And I can touch on more detail on any of those if needed, but I think at this point we're all pretty familiar with those. So a quick overview of my review letter. I really just have a few points here. I know there's a lot of words on the screen, but it's really just a couple of points. So one, I have requested that the applicant present a clearer demonstration of what they believe the practical difficulty is in this particular case. I did not pull anything of note from their submittal. There was a reference to COVID and obviously the constraints that the pandemic has placed upon most businesses, but in particular restaurants. However, that really isn't a variance criteria in and of itself. It's an unfortunate situation. That's not really, in my opinion, something that should be considered for variance purposes. So I think we need a little bit more as it relates to practical difficulty. With respect to substantial justice and the idea of what other options are available and or were discussed, there was one plan drawing included in the submittal. I do not have it in my presentation, but essentially it was the sketch plan that was approved for the patio. Their original intent was simply to utilize tables with umbrellas. So, does that one show, John? I believe everyone has that in their packet. I can put it up on the screen if I need to. So the idea being that the applicant's looking for a more permanent way to shelter their patrons from weather days, be it hot and sunny, be it some rain. Obviously gives them some outdoor seating, gives them the ability to sort of hit their numbers and make sure that there's safe, adequate space for their patrons. I think we all understand, what's happened the last year and a half and what's happened to restaurants and the idea and the need for outdoor seating. I think it's proven itself, pretty successful and hopefully a decent option. But in this case, I would like to know if any other options were discussed or why the use of umbrellas is simply unreasonable in relation to the variance that's being sought. There would be nothing really that would stop them from putting out tables with umbrellas. There's nothing in the ordinance that would regulate against that. However, a canopy or an awning that goes 24 foot into the 25-foot setback obviously needs a pretty significant variance. Additionally, in terms of just ensuring that our criteria are met, there really was no obvious extraordinary circumstance or condition of the property as I could see it. It is a conventional Macomb Street lot. There's no issues with area, there's no issues with width. There are multiple buildings, there are multiple tenants within those buildings. So really a variance requires a demonstration of an unusual condition. I wasn't able to pull that from either my own knowledge of the site or the application materials. So I would like the applicant to express a little bit more information to you on that. Next one is probably my biggest concern with the request, aside from needing to demonstrate compliance with the criteria. The ordinance does have, we're putting in sort of a more fixed permanent structure. And as you could see, I think in the plan, and again, this isn't exact, but it's pretty darn close. And if you've driven by, I mean, the edge of the patio is essentially at the driveway. And its edge towards the street front is, again, about a foot inside the right-of-way line. Because it's a driveway and public right-of-way intersection, the ordinance has a corner clearance requirement, section 19.7, and it requires a 10-foot triangle at that intersection. So it's 10 feet along the driveway, 10 feet parallel to the sidewalk, and then you connect the legs of the triangle. And essentially there's not supposed to be structures within that triangle. And it's a visibility issue is really what it boils down to. So that we have people walking on the sidewalk, we have vehicles turning into the property potentially, we have vehicles exiting the property. I don't believe this was ever converted to a one-way drive. If it was, it is a one-way, so it's one-way exit. That's a really wide one-way exit. It probably should be narrowed down if that's the case. So that will probably prove helpful as it relates to that, because you won't have cars entering. You might not have that same concern there. I guess the real issue would be it's the exiting traffic as well as potentially pedestrians. So the vehicles won't be turning in. So there isn't really a vehicle-vehicle conflict as long as it's definitely being used for one way. And I would question if there's any signage or anything out there that depicts that. Okay, well that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, but it used to be two vehicles because
To egress because of the drive-through for the bank.
the bank was there.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So we do at least avoid that situation. I guess probably my bigger fear anyway, beyond, not that I want people getting in accidents, but my biggest fear would be pedestrian vehicle conflict. That obviously is the bigger concern for safety purposes. So I really do think that we've got to find a way to mitigate that corner issue, and whether the awning gets pulled back, whether it can be shortened, whether a corner can be cut off, which is kind of silly, quite honestly. I don't think I want to suggest that they have to do that, but I do think we need to come up with something that proves beneficial and meets the ordinance, as well as provides for a safe project. We do have two of our review criteria that you're to consider tonight are tied to not creating a safety hazard and not impacting or not adversely impacting pedestrian or traffic flow. And I can see where potentially both of those are critical considerations in terms of that clear vision triangle. So happy to discuss that one more, but I think I've put forth at least my opinion on the matter to you all. So in essence, we do need to figure that out. So if you're going to move this forward tonight, if you're thinking about favorable action, I would encourage a condition that the clear vision triangle either gets met or gets properly mitigated to the satisfaction of the township. We can figure out exactly what that entails more as we go through the night. The next one is a point we've brought up before. This has come up a couple of times. It's because Macomb Street has different dimensional requirements east and west of Park Lane. So if this were east of Park Lane, there would not be a front yard setback that is required. This is west of Park Lane, so there is a setback that is fully required. It is a 25-foot setback, as noted earlier, but it's just a point in terms of the character of the entirety of Macomb Street versus the character of this particular portion of Macomb Street.
Brian,
Yeah.
in respect to the clear view triangle, does it matter if you're east or west? Still
No.
requires a clear view triangle.
Separate
And-
section of the ordinance.
And secondly, in that requirement for the clear view triangle, there's no language that talks about whether it's one way, two way, whatever
No.
way. No.
There is not.
So this
No, it is a
one-way,
10 by
two-way
10
doesn't matter.
triangle at the intersection of a driveway and a
Okay.
public right-of-way.
Thank you.
So I guess what I was really trying to get at was, again, I'm looking at neighborhood character, I'm looking at the different aspects of Macomb Street. The end of the day, if this were granted, I do think it's important to point out that this would be the nearest structure to the public right-of-way line for this portion of Macomb Street. Even in comparison to the gas station canopies, this would be, again, about a foot off of the public right-of-way line. You drive down Macomb Street, there's nothing else remotely that close. So it is a little bit odd in terms of the character of this particular area. So I did think it was important to put that out there as well. And then the closing point is just a summary of a few of the other statements. I don't see issues with land values. I don't see issues with supply of light and air, creation of nuisance-like conditions. I don't think that there will be really a significant impact on adjacent or surrounding properties, but I do think it's, I think the biggest thing to me that's of note, really threefold. One, we need to get some better answers to the criteria, especially practical difficulty and extraordinary circumstances. Two, we have to deal with the clear vision triangle. And then three, we have to have an understanding that, you know, this would be a foot off the right-of-way line where at least this west half of Macomb Street, there really aren't any structures like this that close to the right-of-way line. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
I have a question. The prior tenant had the cement slab variance granted.
No, there's no variance needed for that. It's an at-grade structure.
Currently, there's a wrought iron fence on that slab.
Yep.
Today, that was there prior, that was the prior tenant, or was that the applicant?
No, that was part of the patio.
The planning commission must have approved it.
The planning commission, we did run that as a planning commission sketch plan review for the patio. And there was, I believe, I can't remember if the fence was required or some type of protective barrier, I think was the idea between the driveway and the patio itself. It may have been the fence.
It was.
Okay.
Brian, on the application, the first blank is checked and it says, it's my understanding and belief that the Community Development Zoning Department has erred in finding that the building and or use covered by the application is or is not in conformity. What does it mean?
That would be an appeal, and in this case, that is an incorrect box that has been checked, unless that's really the case they want to make, that they're seeking an appeal.
That's why I'm asking. I
I'll
don't
let
know
them
what it
make that.
means.
This was presented to me as a dimensional variance. This has never been an appeal case that's been discussed with me, so,
So should it be the second box that's checked, or who checked
my
it?
opinion, yes.
That's
but-
what I thought too.
We're gonna get to that, John.
If they're literally seeking an appeal, then
Well-
that's a different story.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Altogether.
Chairman. Am I asking at the wrong time?
No, you're not.
No.
No, I said we will
Oh, that's a great question.
deeper up immediately.
Okay. Didn't want to be criticized.
You're well spoken.
I read it 100 times. I couldn't understand it.
Anyone else? Question for Brian? Put on your mic. Okay, with that being said, thank you, Mr. Borden. Will the applicant or their representative please come to the podium? State your name and address for the record, please.
Address of the building or my personal address? Sorry, this is new to me.
I guess we can deal with either one. Your house address would be preferred.
Karen Galindo, 8131 Thorntree
Wait,
Court.
wait,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I gotta make sure you speak in microphone.
that's what we're,
Hammer, you need a hammer.
Sorry, I'm not really tall.
no, not your fault, not your
I
fault.
always put it up for myself.
More
selfishly,
technical
so-
difficulties here, that's fine.
Yeah, just make
Welcome
sure
to
you
electronics,
speak-
right?
We appreciate your patience.
No
Thank
worries.
you, Brian. Ma'am, please.
My name is Erin Galindo, 8131 Thorntree Court on Groseal is where I live. Jim is here from Mare Grove, who's actually designed the patio itself. So I think between the two of us, we should be able to answer.
Okay, did you get the, you're all set? Okay, before you start, I want to clarify something. Your document, you don't bring up practical difficulties, hardships, previous hardships, etc. You simply state that the township staff made an error. And if that's the case, please confine your comments to that. If that's incorrect, please state so.
Okay, I apologize because I have someone else that was working on this as well that filled out the paperwork. So I actually haven't. So originally, when we applied, we had gone down to the building department and put everything in, and then we were later on told about the 25-foot rule. Setback. Was unaware of that, so now that's why we're here with you guys. So I apologize for how this was written out. Yeah. No, we've been trying to follow the steps from the beginning since we took over
Okay,
the place.
so-
So,
Wait,
I've-
just,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah.
I'm having a very difficult time hearing. Could you please speak up?
I apologize. This is new to me. I'm new to the zoning, new to everything, so I apologize.
Okay, so you're not claiming the staff made an error, and that's why you're here?
No, because I'm trying to follow the
All right,
steps. So I
okay.
go to the
Well,
building
but
department,
that's,
come
you know,
here, yeah.
John and I had the same question, and I want to clarify that before you went on with your presentation. Okay, that being the case, how do we reflect that on the record, or did we just now?
I think you did, Mr. Chair, and we will ask the
Okay.
applicant to correct the application form for the permanent file. It was just a mistake.
Yeah, well, but it makes a big, huge difference. Okay, all right, I apologize, but, you know, it was important to clarify that for
No
myself
worries.
and the board members. So please go on with your presentation. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Not a problem. So first, he's got a drawing with him as well. We're actually not 24 feet, it's 17, I believe, based on your drawing right here.
We can make any change, of course.
Which,
So honestly, I've been a resident here for a long time. My family's here. Obviously, we've had the food trucks here. The goal was to bring something to Macomb Street. So when Tasty Freeze came up, we took it on. As a resident or as a restaurant owner, and as dealing with COVID, the outdoor function of a place like this would be great.
Ms.
24
Glendale,
24/17.
Ms. Glendale, the drawing submitted, let me just clear this up for these gentlemen. The drawing submitted shows a 25-foot awning.
Yes, forward, but width-wise,
we're not,
We
Drawings.
show, well, that's, Mr. Borden's introduction was that it's 25 foot toward the
yes, from the
public
road,
side.
it's, yes.
Correct.
so
I
that's,
apologize. I'm looking at,
Yeah, 30, that's the width.
the width is
and
34.
The projection is back to 17 from the building out.
Well, how come the drawing shows 24?
the drawing shows, yeah, can you,
24A.
we're looking at this drawing.
They're like-
Are you saying this drawing's incorrect?
Well, I think that was the original one before we knew.
I just,
That's all we have.
that's all we have.
I see.
Is this drawing incorrect, yes or no?
Okay. If I could
How about
present-
this? So
if I
when
could
we-
present to you, you might. if I could come
When
up-
we originally started, that was originally what we wanted. Then we were playing around with, because the ordinance, trying to make it a little bit smaller, but actually still work for us, but be in compliance with you guys. So we want to make this work with everyone. So if you want the size adjusted, we can adjust the size, you know, what works for you guys. We're trying to create a nice atmosphere out there. I love going on Macomb Street with my kids. I know other people do.
Yes.
Having a place that
Mr.
I can
Nelson,
use
Mr.
more
Yeager?
often, I feel would be better. So that's why we're proposing this. Umbrellas and tables are great
Where did you get
when
that?
you're an ice cream shop and you're seasonal.
Oh, it's in
When
the
you're something
packet.
that's all year round, I'm trying to create something that I can use more months than just 3 out of the year. Because let's be honest, the weather here, June,
there are
July,
no-
August,
There's no dimensions on
there's
this.
your outside.
There are on that one. Yeah, okay, all right, good. Okay. The drawing is in your packet, but there are no dimensions on this drawing.
The photograph of 17 foot is in your package, but there's no dimension showing us it went from 25 back to 17. That's the confusion we have.
No, and I apologize. We're trying to make it work for everybody. We're trying to be able to create something out there that can be used more than 3 months a year and work with you guys at the same time. Trying to bring something that's nice and appealing from the curb, which I think is what some other businesses are trying to do with Macomb Street, make it more appealing to be down there. Have a place where people can sit. If it's raining, it's a nice.
We're not so confused. You say it's in the package. What package?
This, the package that you should have received.
I have a drawing, but there's no dimension on it.
That's what we're saying. Yeah, there are
Well,
no
well,
dimensions on
what's
it.
the point that it's in
You
the
have a
package?
photograph.
We don't have it.
You have a photograph, but this photograph.
And this
has
only
dimensions.
says 17 in that corner here. How do we know what the heck that is?
That's a valid point.
But it is not in the package. That picture is. I know that,
Okay,
but this is not in the package.
Correct. There is no dimensional data indicated.
Well, I mean, they need to come back with something that, you know, is accurate, right? Boxes are checked wrong, the dimensions are wrong, we don't even know what they're doing. Maybe you wanna go think about it and come back next meeting.
Yeah, you,
Maybe we can come up with something together that might be appealing to you, and I can come back with the dimensions that you might work a little bit better.
Well, first,
go ahead,
Oh,
John. You got
first
the floor.
off, well, even at 17, it doesn't meet the requirement. You got 25-foot setback, period. And even at 17, it doesn't meet the clear view triangle. So you might want to go back and think about the whole thing. We can't tell you what to do.
I'm not trying, but I'm trying to work with,
Well, we can tell you what to do.
right, you want the
Take
10 by
awning
10,
back,
which
take
cuts
the awning back to 25, you know, get rid of it. and
It
make
will
sure
get rid of
there's
it completely, because it'll give me like a 2-foot awning it'll literally be just off the door, and that's all we'd have.
We might have a chance at clearing up the clear view thing and getting it back some reasonable amount.
Here,
Well, you gotta propose
So-
that. We can't.
go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Borden,
Wait, one at a time. Oh. Go ahead.
does an awning actually violate the clear view triangle? I mean, I feel like you'd have to be driving a semi-truck for an 11-foot tall awning to block your view.
Pedestrians. If you're walking down the sidewalk, you can't see a car coming out that driveway.
Well, functionally, I think tables and umbrellas would obstruct view just as much as the awning would, because the awning doesn't have sides, correct? It's just a top.
If there will be sides, they'll be clear going down. It's
So
not an outdoor
there is an
structure with
obstruction.
walls.
Okay, so would people in tables sitting there with no awning be the same? I realize there's some technicality here in the law, but would that not be the same functional view blocking as an awning that's 12 feet off the ground?
Perhaps functionally, but it's not a permanent structure. They're erecting a permanent structure that will be
Okay.
fixed and is not going anywhere. The tables and chairs and umbrellas are removed at the end of the season.
So
Okay, and then your intent would be to generate a space that could be used in the wintertime.
Yes.
So you would clear side it, throw some propane heaters in there. Okay. So I think that the other gentlemen on the board have made some pretty good points regarding some of the drawings and whatnot. I, for one, am always supportive of like commerce on Macomb and supporting local businesses. I think that's important. So when do you intend to construct this? Or would
Honestly,
returning?
I'd have to wait, once I have your approval, I'm still 3 months out before they
Okay.
can even start to construct this.
So if we were to table this, because if we go through and make a decision at the end of this and 4 of the board members sitting here say no, you're pretty much dead in the water, okay? So, however, maybe you could get some input here tonight, come back next month during the regularly scheduled board meeting, because it won't set you back during your construction schedule, and then maybe we can get to a place that might, address this and get you what you need to do business and still meet the intent of the board.
That would be great, because I'm open to what would work for everyone. I'm not looking to say, this is what I want and I'm done. I'm not, but if you want it back farther, can we work in with that, and you tell me what you need and I will have it designed back for you.
Well, just to be clear, this board is not going to tell you or make a recommendation. Okay, you need to work with staff again,
Okay.
all right? Mr. Swigert, please.
Yeah, I definitely recommend, because I know it didn't happen, you need to sit down with Brian Borden and need to have this project reviewed and discussed. Fundamental things here we don't know. Brian Borden asked a question. What is the awning? Is it cloth? Is it metal? What color is it? Okay? Your drawing, your sketch here shows guy wires. Okay? But yet I look at the details of the construction and there aren't guy wires. This is the first I hear tonight that it's supposedly a 12-month-a-year operation. It's not shown in any of our information. Okay, all of this has to be presented to us as a complete package. This is what we're proposing. This is how we're going to do it, and these are the reasons why you should grant a variance. Okay, none of that is what you've done tonight. And I absolutely will never support a variance that violates a safety standard that's black and white ink in our codes. Never.
Further that point, even if you have opaque sides in the winter with ice and snow, pedestrians will not be able to see through that. And the first paragraph of this ordinance is to encourage pedestrian traffic on Macomb Street. In addition, the master plan is very big on pedestrian traffic on Macomb Street. So it's your option. If you would like this tabled, I think we might have a consensus. But if you would like us to vote on this, we can do that too.
Oh, we can table it.
I think table it, so you get the real specs with the real drawings, with the type of fabric, the plain blue material, warranties on the fabric.
I think that's prudent. Do we need to, what is our procedure?
Make a motion.
we
I
have
make
to
a
make
I make a motion to table this application for lack of proper information.
Second.
Could we, Mr. Could I just ask, could we include, I'm assuming that you'll be able to have this together for next month. Shouldn't, so could we table it to the October 26th meeting? That way we don't, because the notification's already been
The
done.
notification has been done. I assume tabling it does not impact that. You're still meeting the 30 days.
As long as we,
Correct, John?
we should,
Brian?
what I'm suggesting is we table it to a date specific.
Oh, that's fine.
And in that instance, then the record is
That's a
clear. And
Friendly,
then,
friendly amendment,
Yes,
John?
friendly amendment, absolutely.
John?
thank you.
Jameson, you're okay with that?
I am. 26 October.
Okay. Having heard that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of tabling application 21008, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. The motion is tabled. I appreciate your coming here and your frank discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Sure.
We'll do a detailed,
Madam,
everything.
wait,
for it.
when, do you have, oh, no. Oh, okay. I don't want to, I mean, sometimes people come here and I never know, you know, if they're part of the. There is? Oh, sir, do you have something to say on this matter? I do. Please, step forward. State your name and address for the record.
Scott Claus, 8751 Macomb Street, directly across the street. I am somewhat opposed to this. I have actually, after seeing your review, number 8, this will be a nuisance for me. It will be, I worry about the noise, the congestion. I leave the umbrellas up and the tables and be done with it, because I probably should have came down when they put that patio in the first place. I've watched that go from a bank to an ice cream shop, and now they want to run it right out to almost to the street. I have a bedroom window that is less than 100 feet away from the front of that enclosure or awning,
Where are you exactly? I didn't.
directly across the street.
You're a homeowner or a business owner?
I have the
sir?
homeowner.
Okay.
Do you have the aerial photo for that, or not?
And my driveway lines right up with the driveway that's in.
Oh, the house with the anchor. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was brain dead. I apologize.
I'm opposed to it. I probably should have been opposed to the patio that was put in there
Okay,
3 years ago.
noted. Did you get his comments? All right, I appreciate. Thank
So
you.
just so you know, we're coming back on the 26th of October to address the whatever they have at that point in
Okay.
time.
Okay,
Chairman,
Sir,
I want to build on that statement. When that application came in front of us, the planning commission never approved outside music.
okay.
And I was very surprised when all of a sudden, rock and roll music is playing all day long out there on that patio.
Me too.
And I was surprised that the township didn't do anything about it.
So, but see, that's one of the things
and
I
that
worry
is,
about.
that is the reason I'm mentioning that is specifically because I want to know in your follow-up application what is going to impact the neighborhood, and it isn't just looks. Okay, if Mexican music is playing 24 hours a day, okay, that's a problem.
careful.
Any kind of music, 24 hours a day.
Thank you.
You know, it's so please consider all factors that relate to the neighbors. It's very important.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, what's the next item on our agenda, which I lost my. Just music? Just music? Thank you. Okay. No additional comments from the board members. No additional comments from anyone in the audience. That takes care of that. Okay. Next meeting, as we have discussed, is 26 October, Tuesday, 6 p.m. right here. Be here or be square. And,
Do you want to address his concern while you're, say, acting
no, I will, but not,
on the record?
not on the air.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. With that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.